Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to another edition of our weekly Quick Facts. This week, following through with our theme of winter weeds, we're going to talk about the most beautiful of winter weeds, wild violets. I actually remember as a child picking these in the yard for my mom to make little bouquets. Sad truth was, I think as an entrepreneur, I remember charging her 25 cents for these bouquets. Now, of course, when we're talking about any weed, proper identification is extremely important. Now, for this particular weed, depending on the species, it can be both an annual or a perennial. It's classified as a broadleaf weed, and it grows with rhizomes and stolons, but also propagates with seeds as well. The rhizomes and stolons can make it very difficult to just pull out of the ground. It has large heart-shaped green leaves, and has 5-petaled flowers that come in a diverse color range, so purple, white, and yellow. Very pretty. Now, the environment that this particular weed grows in is moist soil and lots of shade, and particularly areas where your turf grass is already fairly sparse. So this is a situation where if you have a really shaded area, you may need to correct that to get more sunlight for your grass. Now, this weed also has a very nice benefit as well. This is actually the primary food source for an entire family of butterflies known as the fritillary family. This is a close cousin to the monarch butterflies, but unlike monarchs that feed on milkweed, these feed almost solely on wild violets. So it's important information for pollinator fans out there. Now, when we're talking about control methods like I did last week, it's really going to be a combination of different methods to control any weed in your yard. It's going to be cultural, mechanical, and chemical. Now, for cultural, please remember that regular core aeration is extremely important. That's going to reduce your soil moisture and increase your drainage. Water your lawns appropriately. Make sure to follow your UGA lawn maintenance calendar for your turf grass. Increase sunlight if possible, removing limbs or any obstacles that really shade out those individual areas. And sometimes consider turf grass alternatives. If you have an area that's just too heavily shaded, you might want to consider turning that into a mulched island or flower bed using shade-tolerant flowers or ornamentals to add some beauty to your landscape and stop fighting a losing battle. A mechanical control for this particular weed can be quite difficult. Because of those rhizomes and stolons just pulling out of the ground, those bits of the root system still there, it'll typically regenerate. So unless you're planning on just digging out the first 6 inches of the soil, more than likely I wouldn't try mechanical control alone. Now, post-emergent chemical control, there are some chemicals out there that have fair control of this particular weed. But because it's only fair control, they typically require 1, 2, or even 3 applications to have a major effect. Chemicals like triclopyr or the combination 2,4-D, MCP, and dicamba work fairly well, but they are not registered to work on all different types of turf grass. So when using any kind of weed killer, please be sure to make sure that the chemical you're using is designed specifically for the lawn or turf grass or whatever plant you're using it on. Now, as always, if you have any questions, please feel free to contact the UGA Extension Office in Cobb County. And I also put some resource links up here, too, that we have from UGA specifically on wild violets, and a really nice federal publication on fritillary butterflies for pollinator fans out there. It makes for a really good read. Thank you, and have a wonderful afternoon.